Hi, my name is Rafael D'Andrea, and today I'll be presenting the conclusions of my thesis at INSEAD, Singapore, for the Executive Masters in Consulting and Coaching for Change. Well, the question I tried to answer with my research was, why would anyone that has achieved material success in a professional career after 50 years of age decide to drastically change career paths, choosing to start freshly in a new, completely different career? So the key question is actually, why would anyone change success for uncertainty? In this research, I interviewed 9 former executives or entrepreneurs who had achieved material conditions to retire if they wanted to, but who decided to keep on working in a completely different field of occupation. I call this phenomenon bonus career transitions. Bonus because it's very desirable, but not always needed. And also because it differentiates the term that I coined myself with the extant literature about encore careers or post-retirement careers.
So, a little bit of context. As a Buddhist myself, by principle, I should not focus in the collection of wealth for the future. But I've always found the idea of working in new endeavors after retirement very attractive. As a matter of fact, there's a little bias on that. My grandfather started out as a tailor at 13 years old. He transitioned 6 times to completely new careers, from auto dealer, insurance broker, executive, entrepreneur, retailer, and to farmer. And after 80, he became a weekend painter and a writer of his own memoirs. As a matter of fact, in the second half of his life, my grandfather had already accomplished the material conditions to stop working full-time, but in fact, he never did stop until he reached 99. So, I will talk about what I call bonus career transitions. So, bonus career transitions is the term that I coined to specify the kind of career transition that I'm talking about. In my thesis, I do an investigation of the drivers for financially successful men to voluntarily pursue drastic career change after 50. So I delved into the minds of beyond midlife career high achievers in order to understand the decision drivers that led them to a drastic late career restart in different fields of occupation. I coined this phenomenon bonus career due to its highly desired, but not necessarily needed nature, but also to differentiate it from the extant post-retirement literature. So why does it matter? Well, to start, few people are really investigating this phenomenon that happens after midlife crisis. It's not the usual midlife crisis trigger for career transitions. So there's a whole new space for career transitions at later life stages. Let's say from 50 to 75 years old. People are still able to work and they're productive, they're in good shape. So there's an increasing number of people choosing to start brand new careers later in life. And also in my investigation, I found a whole new mindset. I found a modern pro-work attitude towards retirement that has been fostered by many sectors of society, creating a desirability towards a more productive aging. The new paradigm in this era is perhaps to be economically active as long as possible. However, for successful men, not all jobs represent the right type of work after 50. It's not only finding bridge jobs to fulfill idle time. No, they want meaning. So that's the most important aspect of the research. How to move from one career to the other in a meaningful way. Well, just being busy is not good enough. The desirable job for a 50-plus-year-old successful man is one that brings personal meaning, a flexible work routine, the excitement of a fresh challenge, fun, new content, perhaps new relationships, and one which is also consistent with a person's values without threatening their self-image or social fit in the economic arena. Well, I found in my research that the most common triggers for abandoning the former career, a successful former career, were identified as causes related to age, discrimination in the workplace, the fear of being stereotyped, let's say to be called as dinosaurs or something like that, had in fact led participants into thinking about alternative professional fields of occupation. While people say, I don't want to be labeled as resistant, I don't like to feel old, and things like that. And that's the trigger for start thinking about a new career, fresh start. A fresh start appeared to fulfill the motivation to avoid any unwanted possible selves, such as being seen as an idle person or an obsolete professional, but also matched the participants' approach motivation towards being socially accepted as a person who continues to show advancement in their professional endeavors. Both the unwanted possible self and the socially acceptable man simultaneously drove decisions for a fresh start. One of the most important findings was that the key question participants asked themselves before changing was, do I have the skills to learn and adapt to the new job? Instead of, do I know how to do the tasks in the new job? The content of the job was not nearly as important for participants as was the learning competencies we required to succeed in the new field of occupation. In my research, I interviewed 9 former CEOs or entrepreneurs from 6 different countries, most of them with international professional experiences. All of them were people who had the material conditions to retire but decided to keep on working. Some of them actually retired and they came back from retirement to start a new endeavor. All of them were Western men. Why men? Men retire very differently from women. And the idea behind the methodology was to find the psychological drivers for people voluntarily choose a different career path instead of people who need to keep on working. So I decided to interview only people who had a voluntarily change in their careers. So, besides the findings mentioned before, the interviews allowed me to create a map of the main financial concerns, checks for family support, and triggers for quitting a former job, as well as the drivers for choosing a new career and the decision strategies involved in the transition. The details were condensed then in a table that represents the essence of the phenomenon. But of course, it's not exhaustive of it. So there are 3 steps. First one is deciding to age productively. The second one is deciding to quit work or retirement. And the third one is deciding to make a fresh start towards a new career or bonus career. In that table, we can follow the sequence of decisions, checks, and triggers that led them to a drastic career change after 50. Interestingly, after the interviews, I received some feedback from the participants saying that the very act of narrating, of telling me their experiences, had triggered further reflection about the meaning of their current activities and the future steps, including retirement. Well, I believe that the search for meaningful occupations can only be successful with a certain dose of self-awareness. However, today's focus on content, like job description, college education, or on-the-job experience, does not provide a full spectrum of a person's potential to perform well in a new occupation in the future. So, as my main recommendation, I stress the need for us to foster self-awareness within organizations. Career advisors and organizations should foster narratives and reflection about personal values, competencies, and skills in every career stage, and use all corporate instruments as an incentive to do that. So, to encourage you for your own reflection, I now leave you with the thoughts of a very wise man. It was Shakyamuni Buddha who said in his time, "The trouble is, you think you have time." Thank you very much, and be in touch. Rafael.D'Andrea at INSEAD.edu. See you next time.